I've spent a lot of time thinking about what makes solo musicians successful, but I've never really put down what I've learned into any sort of system or framework that musicians can easily follow. My name is Finbar and I have 15 years experience gigging in live music venues. I now gig full-time 6 or 7 nights a week, and in this video I'm going to reveal to you the top 5 habits of successful solo musicians. So I'm always surrounded by other musicians at the venues that I play at. There are certain things that all the successful guys do that sets them apart from the ones who are always just chasing gigs. So if you want to get consistent gigs as a solo guitarist and singer and actually make decent money playing in pubs and bars, you absolutely must do these 5 things. Now, one of the things that I've noticed that keeps musicians from being successful is that they have this kind of pessimistic outlook. You hear them say things about how they can't get gigs because all the other musicians are taking all the gigs, and they play this kind of blame game. But the musicians who become successful don't operate or see the world that way. They tend to actually be more open-minded, and instead of focusing on other people getting the gigs, they tend to focus on how to get themselves into that position where they're the ones getting the gigs. So the first trait of successful solo musicians is to be an optimist and to think big. Now, thinking big is obviously necessary, but without taking action, thinking big is useless on its own. So that brings me to my next point, which is taking action. Just being talented is not enough. You need to actually get out of your comfort zone, put yourself out there, approach venues in person and on social media. And in the past few weeks, since I've started putting out more content on gigging, I've actually been getting so many DMs from musicians asking for advice on getting gigs. And when I've checked out their social media, I've actually been so surprised with how talented these guys and girls are who are not gigging at all. So what I've been telling them is that just posting videos online isn't going to get you those paid gigs. It's actually often the musicians with less natural talent are the ones who are putting in the work by actually approaching venues, and they're the ones who get the gigs. So while talent is important, it's not everything. When I moved to Edinburgh in 2017, I knew nobody, but I knew I really wanted to get some gigs here. So I just grafted for a few months, contacting venue after venue, until eventually I was offered a trial gig at an Irish bar called Malone's. And it wasn't even a paid gig, it was just a trial. I do think I got a free pint, actually. Anyway, so I put my best set list together and I went there after work, back when I had a day job, and I was still in my suit and I smashed the gig, and the rest is history. And within a year I was getting enough gigs that I was able to quit my 9 to 5 and actually go full-time just playing in pubs, bars and at private functions. So the moral of the story is, if you put the effort in, you will get the gigs. By the way, if you want my list of 10 songs that you must have on your set list if you want to smash your first gig or just make a good first impression wherever you're playing at, the link is in the description. Habit number 3 is drop the ego. The successful musicians that I know tend to have a high level of respect for other musicians, and they always focus on the greater good. They're not big-headed and they don't feel the need to go around boasting about how good they are. They tend to be very humble, and they're definitely willing to admit to mistakes. For example, I know of a few musicians in Edinburgh who have developed a bad reputation for cancelling gigs last minute, not admitting fault when they've forgotten to show up for a gig, and just overall being an arsehole. And these guys just don't get offered gigs anymore, period. So if you want a career in this industry, don't be that guy. This leads me on to my next point, which is probably my favorite. By the way, if you're getting value from this video, then click subscribe, because this helps me know that you're appreciating this type of content. Habit number 4 of successful musicians is they understand people. They've learned how to communicate and act with people in ways that get them what they want. This means putting yourself in other people's shoes and understanding other people's needs and desires. For example, ask yourself, if you were a bar manager and you wanted to employ a musician for live music, what would you want in that musician, apart from them being a great performer, obviously, which is an entirely separate video. But me personally, if I was employing a musician, most importantly, I would want to like them. If you're somebody who gives off good energy, comes across as friendly and genuine, you're much more likely to be liked by a venue or a bar manager and just get more gigs. Another example, a lot of musicians would think that if a wedding couple was trying to hire them to play at their wedding reception, that they're just looking for somebody to come in, play some nice music, create a good atmosphere. But successful musicians understand that making a lasting impression, not just musically, but also personally, that's what makes you unforgettable. And this is what allows you to then get great feedback or testimonials, which, guess what, results in more bookings. Habit number 5 that successful musicians do is that they invest in their careers. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean financially. So while it can be investing money into a new piece of gear or equipment, or building a website, or even just simply putting some time into making your social media look really good, I actually think Instagram is just as effective as a website in 2025. It really doesn't take much effort to make your page look impressive on first glance, and you just need a good profile photo, a simple bio, and some videos of you playing popular songs at other venues or even just at home. But it amazes me how many musicians don't do this, and they wonder why they're not getting gigs. So many venues use Instagram to promote their live music, so this is a very easy way to connect with them. Or maybe it's investing time into really learning your craft and building your set list to the point where you can play almost any song that people request at a live gig. The investment of time, money, and other resources into your music career is an absolute must if you want to be successful. So those are the top 5 habits of successful solo musicians. If you found this video helpful, click the subscribe button, and as I said earlier, if you want my list of 10 songs that you should definitely have on your set list to make sure that you smash your first gig at any venue, then the link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.